live. All right. I always say that, but we're not actually live. We're recording. We're going to be live sometime later. We're always live in this moment.
True that.
What up, Warhead? Thank
up,
you
man?
for coming through, suffering through some technical difficulties. As always on this show, there's always some kind of technical difficulty to fight through, but today it's an act of God. It's the wind right now. It's pretty wild out here. Is this
Santa Ana winds?
yeah, is this somewhat standard out here in the desert? So much flat land, so you got all this wind.
Yeah, I think that's what we're really known for.
Yeah.
I actually appreciate the wind.
Yeah.
A lot, but for things like this, it does kind of interfere with the process.
Sorry
about that.
It's all good. It's got to be nice for. I assume it gets really hot here, so the wind's probably good counteraction for that.
Yeah, for surely it does get pretty dry, arid out here. But.
All right. So thank you for coming on the podcast.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Let's talk about Warhead. So stage name is Warhead, right? Because I know on Spotify and on your Instagram, it's not Warhead, right?
That is correct. Yeah. Is there anything in particular that you want to know?
First off, the stage name is Warhead, right?
The stage name is Warhead.
This is not Warhead. I shouldn't be referring to you as the full thing.
Yeah, it's just Warhead.
Okay. Yeah, I was glad to see on Spotify you have a good amount of music out there, which is great because I listen to music on Spotify. And so when an artist I meet has everything on SoundCloud, I'm like, oh, I'm never going to listen to your music. I just don't, I don't use that app to listen to music, and you got a good amount on Spotify.
Yeah.
Is there any particular track or project that you're pushing right now that people should check out first? What's the intro song or project that you recommend for you?
Ooh, it's a tough one. I think people liked Poet's Realm. And then right now, I think I just released a single called Return to the Nebulon.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's my most recent release.
Yeah, I heard that one today. Is that, you have a female vocalist come on the, bridge of that track? Is that one?
I think that might be Poet's Realm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Return to the Nebula, is that one all you then?
Yeah.
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 Okay. What's that song about? Is that, the glass is not half full, not half empty, the glass is clearly shattered? Is that one Return to Nebula?
No, that one's Cosmic Warfare.
I enjoyed that one. That line in particular, I was like, oh, snap. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
But Return to Nebula, how would you describe that to the peoples?
I guess that's just kind of finding yourself in a state that you've been in before, and then kind of having to re-navigate through some of the turbulence, I guess.
Okay.
A little bit of despair and such.
Okay.
But ultimately, you navigate through.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, just a snapshot of life there. That's the way to do it. That's the way to handle the struggles that you've been through. You've known it before. You got to do it again.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just kind of pushing against the adversity, even though it's it might be familiar, or it might be a new type of struggle that you're gonna have to
musically, what were you going for there? What were your influences on that track particularly?
I think it was just mainly the situation at the time.
Okay.
Financial, everything was kind of just up in the air, and I was like, oh, damn. Well, I wasn't really listening to too much music at the time. My friend just sent me that instrumental. All right.
Okay.
I think I think I know what to write to this.
All right, right on. When it comes to instrumentals and your music, where do you typically get your instrumentals? Because I seen on Instagram that you do play guitar, right?
I do.
Do you make your instrumentals sometimes, or is it mostly from other people, producers and stuff?
Lately, just producers. I sit down and I fiddle with the guitar, but I haven't. At least not in a while. I haven't tried to create tracks with guitar, but I probably should.
Yeah, I get it. I play a bunch of like standard instruments, but it's hard to translate that into like hip hop, particularly. Yeah. Like, I know that people do it. I know I've seen like guitarists make hip hop beats before, but it seems to be something that's so produced that it doesn't translate one to one, mm-hmm. And as opposed to like you make metal music or something, the guitar is that's the whole song. You write a riff and then everything else in the band kind of follows that.
Yeah.
Where like hip hop, it's all the production and stuff, which is a lot.
It's true.
It's a different skill.
Yeah, I actually come from a death metal background.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I used to play a lot of shows back in the day.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that transition, I always found it to be pretty interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty big thing with like the a lot of metal and hardcore kids moving into hip hop.
Yeah, I remember it being kind of frowned upon by some of the bandmates.
Yeah.
Like, I remember a comment in particular is just like, you gotta stop listening to hip hop. It's like more metal, bro. It's like,
so when you say death metal, what's the type of bands that you were listening to?
Listening to at that time. Well, I'll just start by saying top bands for metal for me was always like Slayer, System of a Down. But at that time, I was getting more into hardcore. So I think a lot of this band called Animosity, Between the Buried and Me.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, just a lot of hardcore influenced metal.
Yeah. Yeah, Between the Buried and Me is one of those bands where I don't think I ever really listened to them, but they're a band where if I saw somebody wearing a Between the Buried and Me hoodie, I'd be like, oh, that's a buddy there, that's a friend.
Yeah.
Because I was huge into like the Ghost Inside.
Okay.
If you ever heard the band Betrayal, they were my favorite band to see. They're from LA, but they were kind of big. I mean, as big as like hardcore bands get, which isn't really big, but like they were from LA and they would play shows here all the time. I saw them at Chain a few times, and they were just the vocalist was the coolest person. Like something about the way he would perform just oozed coolness, and I was like, this guy's my hero. I want to be just like him.
It's like, this is the man.
Yeah. Yeah. So where did you start making music? Are you somebody who like took guitar lessons at some point, or were you just taught yourself because your friends wanted to start a band? How'd that go?
Yeah, so I started playing guitar, I think, in 6th grade. I started with the trumpet.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I just got really into metal in 6th grade. It's like, I want to play guitar. And so 7th grade came around, I had some experience, started the band. 8th grade, we were playing the backyard shows.
Mm-hmm.
And then 9th grade, started getting into like a more serious band. It was called These Final Hours. It was fun.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of stuff happened to kind of disband it, but
These Final Hours?
Yeah.
That's a pretty sick name.
You can actually find that. I put the old tracks up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
On Spotify?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right on. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. I also got into metal in like 6th grade. How old are you?
I'm 32.
32? Okay, I'm 29. So that was before, okay. Because I kind of think there was a resurgence of metal in, like, my generation, at least, from playing Guitar Hero as a kid, you know?
Yeah.
And it was around that time. Like, I think, because there was that big boom of, like, hardcore and metal being mainstream in, like, 2010, which I think was right as the kids who were in high school and middle school when Guitar Hero came out, you know, they were now like 20 years old, and so they were like finally getting out and making music and stuff. Yeah. So that wasn't that for you though. Huh?
Nah. I started with the guitar, and then I just kind of kept going as long as I could with it.
Yeah. Do you are you still able to play the trumpet?
I actually haven't played in a long time.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to though.
Yeah, that would sound cool on some beats.
Yeah, for sure.
I love a good trumpet solo. You ever listen to Greaves?
Greaves? I think I have heard some of his music.
He was on Rhymesayers. I think he might still be on Rhymesayers. But he had an album with the producer Budo. And there was one particular track called Bloody Poetry, I think, that's like really chill piano beat, and after the first chorus the producer just plays a trumpet solo, and it sounds amazing.
That's a beautiful
it's an underutilized instrument. It's smoother than I expect it to be when I think trumpet, but yeah, it's a good sound. So when did you transition from heavier music into hip-hop?
It was actually around the same time, but I didn't really come out like saying that I dabbled in hip hop.
Yeah.
But yeah, around I think 2005, I started really getting into writing to instrumentals. It's like, all right, I'd be in class, I wouldn't be paying attention, just kind of writing rhymes, listening to music. But I would say around 2005 is when I really started to gravitate towards hip hop.
Same like middle school age.
That was actually like or 2004. I'm already forgetting the years.
Yeah.
But yeah, 2004 was my freshman year.
Okay. Yeah. The writing in class, I feel like, is that's my favorite way to write. Like, I feel like I have writing habits now that are the same way, where I'll constantly be thinking about it and write like one line every couple hours while I'm doing something else,
Yeah.
Because of the years being in class and being like, okay, this is going on in front of me, but like my brain's over here, and all right, that's a line there.
Yeah.
Just repeating it over and over. It's a good way to stay active when you're forced to be in a room that you don't really care about being in.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. When you started out, you said you just started rapping over instrumentals. So did you have a particular sound you were going for at the time, or were you just was it just like an outlet for you?
It was mainly like an outlet, but I mean, I didn't really know how I wanted to sound, and I think that's everybody's kind of not necessarily a crisis, but it's kind of everybody's dilemma, right? Just like, is this how do I want to like use my inflection? Like, how do I?
Yeah. Did you do a lot of like wild style changes between songs? Like, this song would be the boom bap, and then this one's like a mainstream over the top.
No, I honestly just kind of always write, and then however it comes out, you know what I mean? And I never really had like, all right, this is gonna be like an underground sound, or this is gonna be a mainstream sound. Okay. It's just always kind of like,
just always song first, always the emotion first,
whatever's felt in the moment. Yeah, kind of just run with it.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm a bit envious of that. I always got to be like, all right, what do I want this to sound like? It's a lot of planning for me first,
Yeah.
Yeah. what were you listening to in terms of hip hop that inspired the writing?
Oh man, I used to go on this. It's called CD Universe, and then they recommend artists, and I just look through, and then when I find something, I'm like, well, what is that? I download it off the record, But Big L was one of the first.
Oh yeah.
I was like, yo, I think I want to start rhyming,
Okay.
Yeah, that was the main one, but.
Yeah, that's interesting. I hear Big L's name a lot. I don't think I know a single song by him. But he is one of those ones where if I ask somebody like top rappers of all time, he's one that gets named a lot. Where to the point where like he seems very underrated in culture because everybody knows a Tupac song, everybody knows a Biggie song. I don't know how many people know Big L songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, there's a lot of good ones. But I think if I had to recommend like 2 or 3 songs, just check out first. I'd go with Devil's Son.
Devil's Son.
Then Lifestyles More Dangerous.
Okay.
And then, damn, there's so many. I'll just leave you with those 2.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that still like that 90s era hip hop, or is that starting to get into the early 2000s? Big L.
Yeah, that's 90s.
90s.
Early 90s.
Because he died young, right? He got killed. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
R.I.P. Where do you get influenced by things outside of music, like movies or TV shows or anything? Would you compare your music to a certain movie?
I've never really thought about that.
No?
No, but that's something I'm gonna consider.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, how much on the scale of like storytelling to abstract poetry, where does your music line up? Is it more of just an expression of emotion, or is there more like characters and settings and pieces to a story like that in your music?
I would say that it's mainly kind of a reflection of whatever emotion I was feeling in the moment. I think I might have a few kind of more narrative pieces, but I think I tend to just gravitate towards first person.
Okay, yeah. Do you have a
first person abstractions?
Yeah, it's just a cloud of emotions that you're trying to paint. It's a Jackson Pollock rather than a I can't even name an artist that draws like realism. Like is that says something, right? Because I'm thinking like, oh, Picasso, no, his paintings aren't real. Van Gogh, those aren't real paintings. I guess Da Vinci. Da Vinci's the closest thing that people can name for a real artist. But yeah, so it's more just emotions put into words. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at least I try to adhere to that as much as possible. Try not to convolute the message,
Yeah. Is there a particular message that you try to express through your music?
I think just perseverance. Just keep
going,
pushing through whatever obstacle or pain you may be kind of dealing with.
When did you start performing?
I think I had my first show. Well, in terms of hip hop or in terms of just in general?
Let's say in general first. We'll narrow it down to the hip hop later.
All right. Yeah, I think my first performance was in 6th grade. I actually did a cover of System of a Down just in front of the gym.
Nice.
Yeah, so I actually played both lunches in 8th grade too. That was pretty cool.
What was the System of a Down cover? What song was it? Was it Chop Suey?
No, it was Spiders.
Okay.
Spiders, yeah.
Right on. Yeah, I very much enjoy System of a Down.
Yeah,
they're a strange band.
They're so solid live. I saw
yeah,
them
you've
recently,
seen them?
Back in February. Yeah.
Are they like back together? Is it like Surge and the other one?
I mean, I think they're doing a little mini tour right now.
Okay.
I thought they were broken up.
Yeah.
You know, I think that most bands will say, you know, like they're splitting, and then with
they come back eventually, because that's where
there will be the comeback show. There will be profit.
That's where the money's made, is with the original. It's like Blink-182 just got back together with Tom now, so they're complete again.
Yeah, I hear they're selling those tickets for $600.
Oh yeah, it's weird. Like it's hard enough to convince me to go to like a big concert. Like, I'm not a fan of big concerts. And then when you see the prices for some of these bands, it's like, oh, like why? It's hard enough to get me to go. Like, I'm not gonna pay extra money. Yeah. Whereas like a lot of bands that I like will play at like the House of Blues or something, and it's like $30, and it's like a small enough venue where I can see the band still, and I'm not like packed in like sardines. That's the best show experience, I think, is the smaller venues.
Yeah, have you been to the Observatory in San Jose?
Yeah.
I played there back when it was called Galaxy Theater.
Oh,
it was like a metal fest, and it's like the perfect size. You know?
Yeah,
perfect place to either play a show at or be at the show. You know,
me and my old band always say that Gideon opened up for us, because we played a show there, and we heard the lineup and we're like, this is fantastic. Of course we'll play this show. And then it turns out that we weren't booked on the main stage. We were booked on like the side stage. And so Gideon played on the main stage, and then we played on the side stage, and we were like, so technically Gideon opened up for us, right? That's what happened there. But yeah, it's a great venue. I saw KRS-One there.
Oh yeah, $5.
Yeah. Yeah. So your first performances were during the lunchtime at your school, yeah?
Yeah, middle school. Good times.
And so was that with a band, or the System of a Down one? Was that solo?
The System of a Down was solo, but in 8th grade, I just assembled some of my friends. You know, we started practicing in my buddy's garage, and we took it because I knew one of the teachers were cool. And I was like, hey, can we play at one of the lunches? And she let us. I was like, oh, sick. Yeah,
that's pretty cool. And then from there, when did you start performing at like venues?
My freshman year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was that with what was it? These Final Words?
These Final Hours.
Final Hours. Okay.
Yeah. It was pretty much just that band until maybe 2007 or 8. Things started to go south.
Okay. And then what was your favorite venue to play at that time?
I like the Showcase in Corona.
Showcase in Corona? Okay. I've not been to that one.
Oh no, they closed it. It's done now, but it was always like really good energy there.
Was it a legitimate venue, or was it like a empty building that was rented out for the shows, or was it something like a bar and drinks and food, or was it like just a warehouse with a stage?
Legitimate venue. Yeah, man, that place was cool.
Okay, there's a few. There used to be this place, the Anchor, in I think in Fullerton, that would book shows a lot when I was playing music like that. And it was a church, like a Korean church, that was just like rented out by the promoters, and they would throw shows there.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. It was a nice little spot. I don't think they throw shows there anymore. But it was like, there would be like 3 different rooms that they would have shows in, and so you'd get the ticket and be like, all right, I'm going to the Anchor, but you never knew which actual venue. So, and it was a completely different size for each. Like the biggest one that I only went to a show there once because Volumes played. That one was like massive. And then the smallest one was like 50 people would be crammed in there like sardines. Yeah. But what was it that you called it? The showcase. It was legitimate. They had an actual venue.
It was, I saw I actually saw Between the Bird and Me there.
Oh, nice.
It was pretty wild because, the hardcore scene, there's a lot of crews and whatnot.
Yeah.
And they like to just, I guess they call it crowd killing now.
Yeah.
But, just a lot of blood, a lot of violence there, but ultimately, we were all there for the music, right?
Yeah. Did you ever see Goliath?
Goliath, no.
Whenever I talk to people who were into this kind of music, I always bring up Goliath because they would be on so many lineups I would go see. Like they would constantly be like the top local band on the lineup.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should call them a local band. They toured a bit on the West Coast and stuff, but they were the type that would bring a bunch of crews in their audience and would a lot of crowd bashing during their sets. But it was the most fun to my little high school self. I needed that edge to things.
So usually I was on stage, so it wasn't as bad. But these days, it's I don't know if I want to go see that band right now.
Yeah. Speaking of violence, though, I see you do BJJ. Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. I started in February.
Oh, nice.
Pretty dope.
Yeah. Do you have any experience wrestling or anything, or is that your first martial arts?
Prior
experience?
to that, no.
Okay.
Nah, but it's fun. Man.
You do it at Checkmat, yeah?
Yes, sir.
They seem legit. I've seen them before. I think. They're a chain, I think, right? they got different Checkmat locations across the country.
Yeah.
Frank Mir's daughter, I believe, trains at a Checkmat.
Oh, really?
Bella Mir. I think she just got her first MMA win recently. I could be wrong. I don't know. Are you a MMA fan? Do you watch UFC and stuff?
I honestly, up until this year, I never really watched it.
Okay.
If I know who Frank Mir is, but if you started naming other fighters, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But what was the question?
Yeah. Do you watch UFC?
Yeah. So not regularly, but every now and again, I guess. A lot of my friends used to have fights at their house all the time. Roll through, just play with the dog. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. I get you. I used to not like any sports, and I was like, I don't get why people. But I'll come hang out if we're watching football or something.
Yeah.
MMA was the first one that I was like, oh, I get this now. Yeah. It started with the Khabib Conor McGregor fight, where I had heard Khabib wrestles bears, and I was like, there's no way he actually wrestles bears. And then there's videos of him.
Oh shit, he does.
Yeah, there's videos of him as an 8-year-old fighting a bear cub. And I was like, oh man, this guy's gonna murder this dude. And sure enough, they fought, and he just beat the crap out of McGregor. It's fantastic because Conor McGregor, right? I mean, he's the biggest name there is in the sport.
I actually didn't see that fight.
No.
Check it out.
Yeah, he talks a lot, and Khabib had problems with him talking so much, and so during the fight, Khabib's on top of him, beating his face in, and in between punches, he goes, "What's that? Let's talk now. Let's talk now." It's fantastic. It's beautiful. So how'd you get into doing BJJ?
old guitarist actually from that band.
Okay.
He's the instructor. He's the
nice.
black belt. Yeah, so he trains. Or he holds his training at 6 a.m. So I've just been waking up at 5 this past year. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, time to survive.
That's great.
Yeah, thankfully he's the instructor. I probably wouldn't have gotten into it if he, hadn't been. But yeah, he's been competing for a few years. I think he received his black belt last year, or the year before.
Okay. Yeah, that's a pretty major accomplishment.
Yes,
like
indeed.
it's not like I know people who I went to high school with who are like, yeah, I'm a karate black belt, and it's like, yeah, but are you now? Like, they kind of hand those out like candy in karate classes.
It's like 3 years, 4 years.
Yeah, and BJJ, it's some serious work to actually get the black belt. I got buddies who have been doing it for years, and they're blue belts and purple belts. They haven't made it up there because there's legitimate standards for that.
It takes a toll on you, on the body. I've not been injured consistently this many times in my life.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but it's excellent.
Do you have like a go-to submission that's like, this is what my favorite thing to try and catch people with is?
Up until recently, I like the side triangle.
Okay.
It's kind of like, I don't know if you're familiar with the techniques, like all the names and all that.
Yeah, I train MMA. Yeah.
Hell yeah. So I guess like when you go into side control, the north-south, I guess you have like the Kimura grip, so you kind of fake that you're going for the Kimura.
Yeah.
You get them
in like the head and arm choke. Yeah. Same thing. I go for the head and arm choke. That's the one that I can consistently finish better than everything else. Yeah, I'm a very impatient fighter. Like anytime I'm not like progressing, I get like anxious, like, oh, I'm getting beat right now. So I am not the type to pull guard at all. I got guys who I train with who like it'll take forever for us to hit the ground because I'm too stubborn to like go down, and they are as well. And then other guys who will just grab me and pull me into guard, and I'm like, this is kind of where I want to be. I feel comfortable right here. if you were to take me down and I'm in guard, like, I don't like that. I know that I could get, like, there's a triangle there's arm bars there, but like, I don't want to be on my back at all.
Yeah. It's I tend not to pull guard either. I'd like to attempt the takedowns, even though most of the guys, their stance is too strong.
Yeah.
Like, damn. All right.
Yeah. I went to train at my brother-in-law's gym once during the summer, and there was this dude who was I weigh like 180 right now, 175. This kid was probably like 140. He was a kid, like he's probably like 22 or something. But every time I would go to like trip him to like get like a hip throw against him, he had like the strongest base. Like I couldn't get him off, and he would kind of ragdoll me. Like before we rolled, he was like, "Oh, I've been doing this 7 years." I was like, "Okay," but like I assumed that my weight I'd be able to do something, and nope, he just manipulated the crap out of me and would grab a Kimura as soon as we hit the ground. A lot of those guys would go for a Kimura as soon as we hit the ground, and I am not. I'm not on that. I'm not on the defense of those like I should be.
Yeah, those are very treacherous.
They get me unexpectedly. I'm like, oh snap! Oh, all right, I'm out. Yeah.
So I'll be back in a week.
Yep. So when did you start performing with hip hop? When did that era start?
I think I want to say in 2012.
Okay.
Yeah, but I wasn't very
at the end of the world there.
Yeah, I wasn't very active about it.
Mm-hmm.
I had this friend, Genesis, whose brother used to throw shows a lot, or hip hop shows in San Bernardino. And so I contacted him. Shout out Architect, put me on. And I was going to school at the time too. So I think around 2015, I moved out to Santa Cruz for school, and I did shows out there. Not as much as I would have liked to, but it kind of took me away from, doing music out here. And so right now I feel like I'm playing catch up,
Yeah, I get that. I understand that feeling. What were you studying in school?
I double majored. I did modern literary studies and Latin American Latino studies, and then I minored in electronic music.
Okay, nice. I took one electronic synth class and ended up
complex.
dropping it real quick. Not because the class was bad, just because it was my only night class, and I was skating to school and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't want to be skating home at 10 o'clock.
True.
But yeah, modern literary study, huh? What's something you picked up there that's interesting? Is that by modern? When does that start? Does that start at 1900?
Honestly, all these British literature from the 1700s, 1800s. Okay. They have you cover that in community college. So when I transferred out there, it was actually just one of my first classes. I think we read V for Vendetta, the graphic novel.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I was like, this is different. I like it.
I was wondering if Chuck Palahniuk, did you cover him?
I don't think so.
He's the guy who wrote Fight Club. He's my favorite author. He's everything besides Fight Club is also good. Fight Club that's pretty good, but the rest of his stuff as well. Oh yeah, yeah, it's fantastic. I'm a bit of a nerd about certain literature. It was the one subject in school I did really well in, because I could kind of outsmart projects where you can write a poem. I'd be like, all right, I'm going to write a poem and I'm going to make fun of the project, make fun of poetry in my poetry. That's
nice.
That's how I would do it, just because I liked feeling clever, and for some reason that made me feel clever.
Man, I remember in high school, a friend of mine who lives out in Walnut.
Yeah.
He asked me to write a poem for one of his projects or something, and I shot it to him. He got an A on it. I was like, oh, that's dope, but I'm failing out here. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
What the hell? So my teachers didn't like me too much.
Yeah. Well, right on. That's a cool degree to have, or experience to have, is the literature. Do you do you think that elevated your writing?
I think so, because I would try to not emulate some of the writers, but I'd kind of I'd assess how they were, manipulating words, and just
Yeah.
I like that. I like that alliteration right there,
Yeah.
whatever. And I think being exposed to vocabulary too that I wasn't familiar with just kind of broadened my ability to just kind of call on it when I'm writing.
Yeah. Are you an Aesop Rock fan?
I do like Aesop Rock. I actually didn't at first.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just the first time I heard him, I was like, this is kind of weird. And then I heard, was it Appleseed?
Oh yes.
Damn, I like Aesop Rock.
I have brought that up on this podcast before. Appleseed, I think, is fantastic.
Top tier.
The slow, grimy brass in the instrumentals, it's slow and it's grimy and it feels dirty and it's great.
Yeah, masterpiece.
Yeah, I feel like he's somebody who, I think he did go to school for drama or something. He seems like he would have a degree in literature, because every line's so dense with references to other stuff.
Yeah.
Which is what keeps him from being a lot of people perceive him as, word salad. He's just saying whatever words fit for the rhythm, but it is like
No, it's very
specific
complex, man.
references to other stuff, which I love in writing is when you hear a line and you're like, oh, why is an albatross important? Like, he's got an albatross, what is that? And then you find out, oh, this is a reference to the rhyme of the Ancient Mariner where a guy was punished with an albatross around his neck or something. And you go, okay, so this actually says
More.
a lot in just this one phrase.
Like an onion.
Yeah, it's so dense. Though, I'll tell you what, you ever tried to read Joseph Campbell? He's the guy who wrote Hero with 1,000 Faces, the hero's journey idea. He's the guy who kind of formulated that. I got his book, Hero with 1,000 Faces, because, like, people say that Star Wars is based off it. And Dan Harmon, the guy who made Rick and Morty, he's a big fan of it. So I was like, maybe I'll learn something. Man, I cannot understand a single paragraph in that book. I read like 5 chapters and I had no idea what was. It's just so like, it's so dense. Every sentence says like 500 things, and you're like, you gotta simplify it, dude. Make 5 books if you're trying to say this much. Don't try to fit it all into one sentence.
Yeah.
So you went to school for a while. When you came back, did you start like pushing your music hard? Is that you hit the ground running?
Let's see. So I graduated in 2018, and I came back right before the pandemic. So like around November 2019 I came back.
Yeah.
And then things quickly I was actually supposed to perform in Riverside, I think. A friend was putting a show together with Vel, and then bam, we just got hit sideswept.
Yeah.
But I try to keep it consistent since maybe my first show since the pandemic had happened or started was this past December. I hadn't performed since like I want to say February or January 2020. Yeah,
it's wild how much people's lives had to be put on hold for 2 years, a year and a half. I had just released I had just recorded a fully produced, self-produced, self-written EP, and I put it out I had an album release party on March 13th of 2020, and I was like, I'm going to play so many shows, I'm going to push this EP hard, it's going to be fantastic. And then, 3 days later was the official like lockdown order. And I was like, I guess I'm not doing this. When was your first project that you released on Spotify? When did that come out?
I actually, I think it was 2014.
Okay.
It was the 0991 EP. I really didn't even know what I was like, I'm gonna put together a project because, I hadn't done anything with the band for a while. Mm-hmm. I think that's my only release where I put in some guitar projects.
Okay,
that was first release, I think. I had made music prior to that, but it was all, known instrumentals, so I didn't really consider it my project.
And were you performing with the hip hop stuff at this point, or
no? At that point, I had done the one show in 2012, but then I just got busy with school and
So so you came back in 2019, right before the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
Did you release something before the pandemic, or did you start releasing during?
I released Poets Room in 2018. I actually recorded everything at it was called EMS, the Electronic Music Studio at UC Santa Cruz. Had a buddy help me with the mastering, but that I think was my first release on Spotify. But it's messed up because I had a different account and it was called Day Raw, which is Warhead backwards. But I was like,
Okay,
yeah, that's really confusing. I don't think anyone's
Yeah.
gonna find this. So I had to like remake the account, and I put this isn't Warhead just so it'll stick a little easier.
Yeah.
But because there's I think a German metal band called Warhead. So
Yeah,
it's like,
that makes sense. That sounds like
Yeah.
a German metal band.
yeah, it's like all right, I guess I can't use that. But
Yeah. Yeah. Are you prevented from using it? I know there's another kid Ikarus on Spotify. And when I first started doing music, they would be the first result, but I have supplanted them as the
Nice.
first result now.
it's my time.
Yeah. Yeah, they may not make music anymore. I don't think they do, but I still see them on there as the
Yeah.
second. So, take that, Kid Icarus.
That's right.
Since starting up again after the pandemic, what's the scene like? Where are some venues that you regularly go to play at? What's your experience been like with the community, if there is one?
Yeah. So that's where I had to, with some other like-minded individuals, right? We started an organization called the Independent Empire Artist Collective, or the IEAC. And right now I'm in the process of kind of having it legitimized by the state.
Nice.
So hopefully soon that will be completed. But yeah, I'm just waiting on the state. But the idea of it is like there aren't too many venues in Fontana.
Yeah.
People tend to gravitate towards LA if they want to go see a show, or
Yeah.
Santa Ana is super far, and it's like, well, what about we have all this space here? There's a lot of warehouses coming up too, so they're taking most of the land. So we're like, we kind of want to be in a position where we can showcase local artists, give them the platform, and then pay them if we have sufficient funding, what we raise, and give them some gas money at the very least, or give them food, water, because I've been playing shows for a long while, and I've experienced some not so great promoters, and just dealing with shadiness, and it's like that's like it kind of makes you not want to go out and trying to deal with people who you already know are going to be on some slimy stuff.
There's an oversaturation in this area of music artists, like LA area, because like everybody flocks here to perform, and like promoters know that, and so they know like, hey, these people are desperate for shows, so we can do whatever we want to them, and they're still gonna take the show. What are they gonna do? Stop playing shows? Which I think a lot of people are like, yeah, I'll stop doing shows unless I'm the one making the show.
Somebody should be like, oh, you want to perform? You can open up $1,000. Like, what?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
If you want me to pay for the
There,
too,
there's a lot of like the pre-sale shows where like it worked when I was in a band where it's like
you all can split it.
Sell 20 tickets, $10 each. All right, there's 5 of us. We'll only have to sell 4 tickets, or just give out 4 tickets to our friends and family, because why not? It's $40 each. But like you give that same deal to a solo rap artist, and it's like, I'm supposed to cover $200.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna sell 20 tickets, unless, I don't know, maybe some people out there are selling 20 tickets, and good on them. But I'm not selling 20 tickets. I also don't like selling tickets. I'm not a big fan of that process.
Pay to play is whack.
Yeah. But I mean, like, even if I'm putting on a show myself, like, I'd rather just make it free and eat whatever I'm spending on the venue, because like, I'm trying to make people want to show up, and people don't want to pay unless like they have real reason to pay, and a show I don't think is really reason to pay. Though, like, shows to me, like, they're really advertising to get people into the bar so that they can buy drinks. Like, that's the business model. That's how the business model should be. Is like, the entrance is free, and then you get all these people inside your club or your bar or something, and they're gonna buy drinks. Like, they're not gonna not drink at a show.
True.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what is you're working on this independent Empire Artist Collection? That's what it is, right? IEAC.
Yeah.
What are is there any steps that people should look forward to, movements that people should keep an eye out for that you're making with that?
Yeah, well, we kind of wanted to throw 4 events per year. Like,
okay, that's a good amount.
Yeah, and
sometimes people shoot for too much, and like, the audience can't show up to too many things. So, like,
yeah, especially in the last few years, since
Yeah.
everything's gotten a little weird.
Yeah.
It's harder to get people to commit to events too, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But we kind of did a lot of not a lot, maybe 3 like Zoom type events.
Oh yeah.
It was not like a live show.
Weird, right? Yeah.
It's, but I would say just, you know, I think our Instagram is IE Artist Co.
Okay.
So just look there every now and again. I'll probably start making announcements once things are moving again. But yeah,
for sure. And you got a show coming up pretty soon, right? With Slang Hip Hop. When's that gonna be, and where's that at?
It's December 2nd in, I believe, Boyle Heights.
Okay, yeah. Mio Ranchito Bar, I assume. I know that he's had other shows there. Yeah. All right, Mio Ranchito Bar. We're at the last 10 minutes or so here, and this is where I always give my guests the chance to shout out anybody that you think doesn't get enough attention. Any music artists, businesses, pizza makers, whoever you want people to go check out.
Let's see. I'll give a shout out to my brother. He goes by Nada Bueno, Nada Mejor on Instagram.
Okay.
He's
Is that a name of one of your tracks?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
All Spanish words just sound the same.
He's an artist. He's what do you call it? Graphic designer.
Okay.
He makes like sleeves for lighters.
Nice.
He's a little crafty guy.
Yeah.
Then my cousin Brian Campos, you know, he goes by I think he had Mount Up Productions and O_B.
Yeah.
He helps me out with a lot of my my videos. And then Daniel Eugene, is a fellow rhymer.
Okay.
Solar, All City Sound Bombers. And yeah, I'm blanking.
Yeah,
Shout out to everyone.
Yeah, that's a good set of people to shout out. I'm gonna give a quick shout out to Project Mayhem Studios, because they've been doing a bunch of cool stuff, putting together various projects right now. They got a few artists that record there that are working together on some different things, and it's exciting. It looks like it's gonna be cool. With that we've reached the end of the podcast. Any last minute things you want to say that you want people to know about you? Anything that we didn't cover here that you're like, oh, real quick before we leave?
This is in Warhead, all platforms.
Okay, yeah, this isn't Warhead. Yeah, good amount of music on Spotify. Add that to a playlist, and then you got some cosmic jumbo there. Whatever. Yes, check out This Isn't Warhead on Spotify. Listen to it, add it to a playlist, or whatever platform you listen to. If you're a weirdo that uses SoundCloud or Bandcamp or whatever, check it out there too.
I'm everywhere.
All right.
Everywhere, baby.
All right. Thank you so much for sitting down with me. I appreciate your time.
Not a problem. Appreciate yours, man.
Have a good day, everybody.
Got me now. Finally gained the throne when I've been giving up my crown. Right? I'm feeling blessed. Tell me, how are you? Just let me know if there's anything that I could do. Yeah, I'm feeling blessed. Tell me how are you? Ain't nobody change the world like them servants do.